Smith, touchdown, Alabama!
Intercepted by Charles Woodson! Collins off the Heisman!
They will not catch Lamar Jackson.
35-40, he's on his way! Desmond Howard is going all the way! That is a Heisman Trophy winner!
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Hello Heisman from the Varsity Podcast Network, where we talk all things college football and, of course, the Heisman race. This is officially our last episode.
I cannot believe that, man.
I know, right, Jimmy? This is crazy. It's been a good ride, though. It's been a good ride.
Well, you know what they say. It is a cliche, but I guess the reason that cliches are cliches because they're true. Time flies when you're having a good time, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so because of this, our last episode, I pulled out this Simply Red song. It's really, just holding through the years. It hasn't been a year, but still, I think this is an appropriate song for this moment for me. So it's a great album too.
That takes me back, man.
The front too.
Yep.
Yeah, I love this picture.
Simply Red, just a little bit blue this morning, right?
Yes, sir. And I'm gonna turn mine down and see what you got.
All right, so this, let's see if we can hear. All right, so this, I went upstairs to the attic to get out all the old vinyl this morning. I had such a good time going through the boxes, and I literally just stumbled on this one. I said, I can't leave this one out. So this, maybe a little hard to hear. So this is Simon and Garfunkel from the famous concert that they did in Central Park in 1981. Okay, and I know I'm going to instantly date myself here, but I was at this concert, and it was so much damn fun.
Really?
I mean, it was amazing. I mean, it was like hundreds of thousands of people in Central Park in New York City back at a time when you could gather and you could just kind of be shoulder to shoulder with people, and it was just nothing but feel good. It was a beautiful night in New York City. I mean, it's just the type of thing that would seem so foreign today, but I don't know, just thinking back on that, I was really young, and it was just such a good time. The music was so good. Everything was good about it. So I couldn't leave it aside.
It's nothing like a song that can just put you right back in that same spot where you were when you first heard it. You can like relive that moment, that experience. So I feel you. So that's a good choice. Good selection, J-Ro. I got you.
Yeah, it's music is all about taking you places, and
yes, absolutely.
I don't think never more than now have we needed to be taken back to better times. So that was a good one for me. I got some others here that we'll talk about coming up because, as you said, Des, this is our last episode for this year. And normally, what we do is we wait till the end of the episode to talk about viewer mail and listener mail, kind of answer some of your questions. But we thought we'd just switch it up today. We got some really, really interesting questions that people have sent in. So I thought, why don't we start out with some viewer and listener mail? All right, what do you think about that?
I love this part. So let's go ahead and knock these out right now. Get those questions. I'm excited about this. Let's see what they got for us.
Okay, all right. So let's start off with this one. What was your favorite interview this season?
I tell you what, we had some great interviews. We really did.
All right, and you can't say Charles Woodson, all right?
Oh, well, damn. Well, I'll have another one. I'm just joking. Just kidding.
Come on now.
I'm just kidding. No, actually, I like an interview when we get to know, new things. We get to find out new things about a person or even sometimes about a play. And as long as I've been looking at the Hail Mary pass from Doug Flutie against Miami, Doug Flutie told us a story that I'd never, ever heard before. I'd never even seen the footage. Doug told us, he shared with us the story about how, I believe it was his tight end.
That's right.
Who came up to him and told him he would be open. And if you really look at the play, Doug is kind of like rolling a little bit, scrambling around, and he throws it more to his right, And the tight end is on the left side, streaking down the field by himself. And J-Ro, come on, as many times have I seen this play, seen this footage, I never, ever saw the tight end on the left side by himself. And then for Doug to tell us that, this was like something that the tight end came up to him and told him after the game. And then he provided the actual footage where you can see the guys all by himself. It would have been cool had Doug thrown the ball to the tight end and he would have walked into the end zone. But for the dramatic effect, I think the Hail Mary pass is just a little bit better.
He drops straight back, has some time. Now he scrambles away from one hit. Looks, uncorks a deep one for the end zone. Phelan is down there.
Oh, he got it!
Did he get it?
He got it!
Touchdown! 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 Touchdown, Boston College! He did it! He did it! Flutie did it!
For those of you listening today, shout out to Doug Flutie on Twitter. I'm not sure what his Twitter handle is, but I think he actually has the picture of because the fella sent it to him.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
So there's visual evidence of this.
Right.
For me, I like you. I like being surprised, and I have to say, I was shocked by how entertaining Danny Werfel was. I just wasn't expecting that at all. I don't know, Danny, you do. You guys are, part of the brotherhood. But I love the story that he told about Steve Spurrier.
Yeah.
And about how, through that interception, and apparently the receiver, he thought, had broken the root off and gone the wrong way. And, Danny did what he was supposed to do and comes over to the sideline, and he's expecting to, have Spurrier just rip him a new one. And he says, Spurrier's standing there, and he says, you know what? It's my fault. Don't worry, Danny, it's not your fault. It's my fault. It's my fault because I put you in the damn game. You did something really, really unusual. As a Heisman Trophy winner, you played for a coach who was a Heisman Trophy winner. What was that dynamic like with Steve Spurrier?
I remember my first interception that I threw, I thought the receiver had run the wrong route a little bit. So I was thinking, here's my coach. Maybe he recognized that too. So I get to the sideline. He said, "Oh, Danny, don't worry. It's not your fault." And he said, "It's my fault for putting you in the game. You're out." So that was my welcome.
And knowing Coach Spurrier, as I do, you can just imagine it. So that was
a good story too.
That was a good one. I love that too. So one of the things that folks have picked up on is our music. And one person writes in, let's see, right here. Is there a favorite album of yours of all time? Now, that's pretty heavy. I mean, because, I know, but Des, it seems to me that you're like me in that every album I play is like my favorite album. But is there one that stands out or one that has a particular story? I got a couple for you when you're done.
Wow. I would say, because I'm a huge Michael Jackson fan, right? Just the greatest entertainer ever. And so I would say, and I love like Quincy Jones. Like, if you haven't seen it, you need to go to Netflix and watch this documentary on Quincy Jones. I mean, it just chronicles his life from being raised in Chicago. Oh, without a shadow of a doubt, just pure musical genius. And anyway, so it tells you about everyone he's worked with, and man, so those two, like the brilliance of Michael Jackson combined with the genius of Quincy Jones, and I would probably say Thriller. Thriller was just such a monster album. And what stands out to me, J-Ro, is this is back in the day where music videos like were huge. And I remember when the Thriller was announced and they were about to show it. I mean, this is like something on prime time. Like, this just wasn't something they just rolled out on MTV Raps, some type of video show, jukebox. This was like prime time. It was like I guess they call it like a mini or a short, because I think it was like 14 minutes long.
Oh, yeah.
But the video, the Thriller, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, Vincent Price did the narration, right? Because he was on the album. But what was the lady's name who was the star in it?
Ola Ray.
Oh, man. This may be a little politically incorrect. I'm sorry. I had a thing for Ola Ray, and I think I probably wasn't alone.
Hey, J-Ro, there are many names I've forgotten since I was that age. Ola Ray stuck
Not
in
one
the
of 'em.
memory banks, my man. Ola
I hear
Ray
ya.
stuck in the memory banks, yeah. So anyway, so with that, you're talking about, how your album took you back to that time you were at that concert. Like, that takes me back to when I was a teenager and that came out. And so anyway, so Thriller would be the one for me. How about you?
Well, so just a moment. I've been meaning to tell you this for the last couple of weeks, and you probably know this. There's a Broadway show based on Michael Jackson. I think it may be shuttered right now, but somehow I have a feeling that we're going to be saying Desmond Howard on Broadway at some point soon.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so favorite album of all time. I mean, I love all music, and I love all genres of music. I really do. But this, to me, is the greatest album ever made, okay? It's the greatest album ever made. It is Stevie Wonder, Songs in the Key of Life.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I just about wore this album out. And if you look at the list of songs on this album, and we may have talked about this before, not only is there not a bad song on this album, I would say that 90%, and that's a conservative estimate, 90% of the songs on this album, it's just Hall of Fame material, and it's a double album.
Yeah,
so
no, you're right.
for folks who don't know and it's not only a double album, it's a double album, and it came with a 45. So, and I don't even know if I still have the 45 in here. But people don't even know what a 45
you
is.
Get bonus points if you still got that 45, man. Stop it.
Oh, man.
My guy.
Bonus
Yes, sir.
material. So what I was going to say is every song on this album is just, I could just listen to it all day long. It was just the most beautiful music, the most inspiring music. It's just everything about it. And when you talk about genius, I just think to myself, this man was one in a bazillion to have this type of talent. And I just love listening to it. And to this day, that album's 30-something years old. I can still listen to it.
Oh, no, you're right. And Stevie is the last of, Stevie should be wrapped in bubble wrap because Stevie is the last of, probably musical genius around as far as playing the instruments. And Quincy Jones, as far as musical genius as producers, he's the last of a long line of geniuses, too. So both of those guys, Quincy Jones and Stevie Wonder. I mean, when Quincy did an interview and he talked about making Thriller, he said, we were hauling engineers out of there on stretchers that day.
Well, like I said, I got all different kinds of musical taste. So I love Stevie Wonder. I certainly love that album. But here's another one that for me holds a special part in my past. I got it upside down. Or maybe I don't. I don't even know if I do. Maybe there is no upside down for this album. So this is Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. So I still love this album. And great story about this. When I was in high school, I used to drive a girl who lived on my block to school. And at the end of the year, as a thank you, she gave me this album. Okay? I love this album so much that when I went away to college, it was my senior year in high school, when I went away to college, I used to play this literally every night. And those of you who are familiar with the music would understand why you would play it before you go to bed. I mean, it's just... Anyway, so I played this every night. This is the only album that I own where I actually own 2 copies of it because the first copy I literally wore out. I listened to it that much. So,
Gotcha.
and
Yeah.
to this day, I mean, it's on the list of, greatest musical accomplishments. I just, the Roger Waters, what in the world were in these guys' minds to make this music is just, I know. I don't know. I don't know the words.
I'm with
All
you.
right.
I'm with you.
All right. So we move on from music and let's get
Okay.
back to football, which
We
is
can talk about that all day. Go ahead. What
yeah,
else?
I know. We will that and food.
Yeah.
All right. One of our listeners writes in, did the season and the Heisman finalists pan out the way that you thought they would? What do you think?
Well, I would not say it panned out the way I thought it would because I never had a strong feeling about any particular finalists as the season progressed. But at one point, I was like, do we really have to give away the award? Because no one really separated himself from the pack. So I can't say, yeah, well, I thought that Bryce Young would go wire to wire, or I thought Aiden Hutchinson would represent defensive players. I can't honestly say that right now because at one point, like I said, just the way things were going in college football, no one had that, spectacular performance, but they were all consistent. It's like watching a horse race, I guess. And let's say, you're looking at the final turn and all the horses are even. You're like, is anybody going to pull away from the pack and, take the lead? And eventually down the last stretch of the track, some guys really stood out and, had stellar performances when it counted the most. And that's when the separation started to happen. And so I do think that we definitely got, we got, 4 good finalists. There can be some arguments for maybe 3 and 4, but I think 1 and 2 were very strong. Some people think, Kenneth Walker III should have been in there. Will Anderson should have been in there. And they had strong seasons, and there's an argument for those guys too. But at the end of the day, I do like the way it panned out.
Yeah, I think in the end, it kind of ended up the way it was supposed to because of the finish that Bryce Young had. And really, he kind of installed himself as the favorite right from the start. 4 touchdowns in the opening win over Miami. Had a really, really strong start to the season. Played 3 ranked teams, 12 touchdowns, no interceptions. That was early in the season. But I think that for me, the surprising part of it was, now you need to remember that Kenneth Walker III was a transfer.
Yeah,
so from Wake Forest. So I don't know that he was really on people's radar.
He was not
at all.
No.
And then, he had that big game against Michigan, and I think that's what really kind of installed him in that position. And then he had that terrible game against Ohio State, which is what, got him off the island. But I think for me, the 2 surprises that you wouldn't have picked at the beginning of the year were Kenny Pickett and Aiden Hutchinson being among the finalists.
Right.
Not to question their credentials.
Right, exactly.
But just really to, it's no secret that this award is primarily about quarterbacks and, occasionally about running backs and a wide receiver thrown in every now and again, right?
Exactly.
So I think that we had our eyes trained there. Another guy who kind of jumped up in the middle of the season that kind of surprised me was Caleb Williams. And we thought, after that game against Texas, you thought, is it possible, on the basis of this, that he puts himself in position? So I think there were a lot of surprises. But like you, Des, I kind of think in the end, we got to where we needed to be, right?
Yeah, I do. I really do. Yeah, no problem. No problem with the 4 finalists. And like I said, there's an argument for this guy or that guy, but I think we got to where we needed to be. Because like I said, at one point, I was like, man, do we even have to give it away? We can get the Davey O'Brien to the best quarterback and the Doak Walker to the best running back and so on and so forth. But I do think we finally, when it all came down to the end, I think we got it right.
All right. Sorry, I'm a little distracted. I'm still thinking about Ola Ray. So,
yeah,
all
man.
right.
A lot of names I've forgotten, but not that one.
Amen to that.
Well, that's it for our last episode of Hello Heisman from the Varsity Podcast Network, man, Jimmy. And this special thanks to the Learfield and Blue Duck Media, who's partnered to make this happen. And special thanks to you guys for listening and viewing this season. Really enjoyed the interaction with the questions. It's been a fun ride, J-Ro.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Listen, I love college football.
Yeah.
I love good music.
Me too.
I love good food.
There we go.
And as my family always reminds me, I love to talk. So this is just perfect for me. I've really enjoyed spending all this time with you, Des, and as you mentioned, getting the feedback from the viewers and the listeners. It was great, and I hope we can do this again next year.
Yeah, J-Ro, the fans have been just fantastic. They've been excellent. But I have to give a shout out to my twins, the IT department in the Howard household. They saved me so many mornings in doing this podcast. So shout out to Little Twin and Big Twin, the IT department.
Yeah.
I'm Desmond Howard.
And I'm Jimmy Roberts. Hello, Heisman. I guess, Des?
Goodbye,
Heisman, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's been fun.